Good evening and welcome to KiniNews. Umno President Ahmad Zahid Hamidi has announced, or well, re-announced the party's intention to contest every seat that they won in the 14th general election, and this would include seats which they lost through defections.
Umno President Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said his party will defend all parliament and state seats won in the last general elections. In a post on Facebook today, he said this was in line with a unanimous decision made by the Umno Supreme Council last year. He said they would not compromise on any seats that they won during the 14th general election. Zahid added that the decision is not only by the Supreme Council, but it came from the voices of the grassroots who desired for Umno to reclaim its dominance after GE14. Dominance does not mean arrogance, but from a need to return Umno as a party at the core of the government's administration, he said. Commenting further, Zahid said Umno's victory will significantly contribute towards ensuring political stability in line with its status as the largest Malay party. He said they were aware that there will be other parties contesting the same seats, but warned that they should not dismiss the strengths of Umno and its grassroots. Zahid's statement came following Perikatan Nasional chairperson Muhyiddin Yassin's remarks yesterday that the coalition would continue with seat negotiations, holding meetings starting next week, despite not getting any indication from Umno or BN. Muhyiddin had said that they were not sure of Umno's direction, and there is no clear statement from the party or BN leaders yet. Umno had won 54 parliamentary seats and 241 state seats in GE14, but suffered from a series of defections at both the federal and state levels.
So what about Perikatan Nasional? It seems that seat talks are set to begin next week. However, this is only going to be between PN component parties.
Perikatan Nasional chairperson Muhyiddin Yassin has announced that the coalition will proceed with negotiations on the distribution of seats for the 15th general elections. He said they will start holding meetings next week despite not getting any indication from Umno or Barisan Nasional. He said this after a PN Supreme Council meeting at its headquarters last night. According to Muhyiddin, there was no indication from Umno or BN to discuss seat allocation, and they were not sure of Umno's direction as there was no clear statement from the party or BN leaders. He added that if they waited for other parties, it would disrupt the ongoing election preparations, such as negotiations on seat allocations that would be carried out among PN only. This would include Bersatu PAS and Gerakan for Peninsular Malaysia, and Parti Solidarity Tanah Airku and Parti Progresif Sabah in Sabah. In addition, Muhyiddin said he would meet Prime Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob to deliver PN's stand on the post of Dewan Rakyat Deputy Speaker, who would be picked in the upcoming Dewan Rakyat session.
On to the issue of Sri Perdana renovations. It came up again today with former Prime Minister Najib Abdul Razak telling Muhyiddin Yassin not to use him as an excuse for why the project was approved. Former Prime Minister Najib Abdul Razak has responded to Muhyiddin Yassin over a part of his explanation on the renovations of Sri Perdana that cost the government 38.5 million ringgit. In a post on Facebook late last night, he said he could not believe that he had been used as an excuse by the 8th Prime Minister to approve the project and to renovate and upgrade Sri Perdana. He said this in response to Muhyiddin's explanation yesterday that part of the costs of the upgrading works on the official residence of the Prime Minister was because many of its furnitures have been taken away by Najib. According to Najib, after he lost the 14th general election in 2018, his family was forced to vacate Sri Perdana in several hours and had to leave many of their personal effects behind, including gifts and furniture. He said the items remained at the official residence since, despite official requests made to the then Pakatan Harapan government to get back his belongings. He had only received a reply from the government in November last year, which was after the Harapan government fell and was replaced by Perikatan Nasional. He said this was when they had learned that a new manager for Sri Perdana had been appointed, and they said that the 8th Prime Minister was planning to upgrade Sri Perdana because he wanted to move there. He added that he was only allowed to remove items from a list that had been checked and approved by the Prime Minister's department. Yesterday, Muhyiddin had explained that he received a report from the Prime Minister's department on physical damage to Sri Perdana when he first entered office in March 2020. According to Muhyiddin, the damages involved leaking from the roof, which had damaged the built-in furniture, wooden floors, wall panels, and ceiling. Old lighting and the air conditioning system had to replace, as well as the outdated wiring, which could pose a fire hazard if left unchanged. Further, Muhyiddin said the Prime Minister's department had also suggested the purchase of new furniture to replace Sri Perdana's assets said to belong to the 6th Prime Minister that had been taken away. Yesterday, you may have heard some buzz that dining in will be allowed for everyone, including those who are not vaccinated. It turns out that this was a misunderstanding due to SOPs not being updated. So if you want to dine in, well, you better go get your vax first.
Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin has clarified that only fully vaccinated individuals will be allowed to dine in, regardless of which phase of the National Recovery Plan their state is in. The clarification came as the Klang Valley entered Phase 3 of the NRP today. Khairi said the SOPs issued by the National Security Council had not been updated to reflect this, but an official statement would be issued soon. Earlier, there had been some confusion over the matter, as the NSC guidelines issued on September 24th did not stipulate that vaccination is a requirement for dining in under Phase 3. Meanwhile, the Health Ministry reported 11,889 new COVID-19 cases today. Only 3 states, namely Sarawak, Selangor, and Johor, reported new cases in the 4 digits. Sarawak continued to record the highest number of new infections with 2,413 cases, followed by Selangor with 1,568 new cases, Johor with 1,217 cases, and Perak with 959. As of last night, the R0 for the country was at 0.9. A figure of less than 1 suggested the spread of COVID-19 was decelerating. Apart from Putrajaya, the R0 was below 1 in every territory or state.
After the break, are self-testing kits enough to convince people to test themselves, and do they know how to use it? We'll be back after a word from our sponsor.
Nama saya Muhyiddin binti Abdul Razak. Anak saya, Saswani binti Besu, umur 19 tahun. Dia ada penyakit kencing manis. Baru sebulan tu. Lepas 2 minggu dia rasa mata dia boleh nampak sikit lah. Mungkin gula dia ada cover dendam. Mata dia boleh nampak, kalau gula tinggi dia macam kabur sikit. Dulu dia insulin kan. Ubat dia kita kena 14 unit, 12 unit. Sekarang ni kadang injek 8 unit, ada 9 unit, ada 10 unit. Kita kira makanan dia macam mana. Dia minum G-Shell tak injek banyak.
Welcome back. The government cannot only focus on vaccination rates in their transition from the COVID-19 pandemic to the endemic phase. This is according to Segambut MP Hannah Yeoh. She said they had to push the public to exercise regular self-testing for COVID-19 and also to educate them on how to do so, because admit it, you have no idea how to swab yourself, do you?
Segambut MP Hannah Yeoh has called on the government to mobilize their multimedia resources and educate the public on RTK test kits. This comes as the government prepares the nation for a shift from a pandemic to an endemic phase on COVID-19. In a statement today, she said the government cannot only focus on vaccination rates in the transition to an endemic state. This is as the new normal of daily lifestyle requires the public to consciously monitor their health by exercising regular self-testing. She cited her visit to 5 morning markets in the Segambut constituency this week to highlight that many people lack knowledge on the use of self-test kits. According to Yeoh, she had distributed the RTK test kits to the traders there, and many of them looked at the box perplexed and examined it in an unfamiliar way. Yeoh said the government should mobilize multimedia resources while the National Security Council should broadcast messages to display the correct use of the self-test kits. She added that relying solely on the instruction manuals that come with the test kits would not be sufficient, particularly to the senior citizens who are not able to access or read the manuals for various reasons. She stressed that videos with specific instructions in multiple languages need to be shown to the public. Yeoh also called for further reduction of the price of the self-test kits, attributing traders' confusion to the high selling price of the kits. She said the use of the kits is still irregular among the people, and this is mainly due to the high selling price of the RTK test kits in the market.
The Health Ministry said that 2 teenagers who had collapsed after the COVID-19 vaccinations are in good condition. They also explained what caused the incidents, and there is something that we all can take home from this, especially for future vaccinations.
A 13-year-old who fainted after being vaccinated for COVID-19 at the Angkor Vaccination Center in Malacca yesterday is in good condition and likely fainted due to anxiety. In a statement today, Malacca Health Deputy Director Dr. Rusti Abdul Rahman said that a follow-up phone call with the family found that the teenager was healthy and behaving normally. He said the teenager appeared apprehensive during the vaccination process, but did not show any side effects during the observation period. However, the teen suddenly appeared weak and collapsed when he was heading out towards the parking area. He was then brought back into the center, and a 30-minute observation by the medical team found the teenager to be stable, and he was allowed to go home. In a separate incident involving a 12-year-old, Rusti said that the patient had complained of headaches and fatigue after being vaccinated. He said checks found that the 12-year-old did not get enough sleep the night before and did not have a proper breakfast before heading to the vaccination center. He added that the Melaka Health Department and the District Health Office will continue to monitor their health status from time to time. Deputy Health Minister Dr. Nur Azmi Ghazali visited both children at their homes in Bukit Katil, Melaka today. Meanwhile, in a Twitter post today, Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin urged vaccine recipients to have a meal before heading to the vaccination center and to get enough rest, as well as avoid strenuous activities after vaccination.
That's a wrap for Kini News this evening. For more stories, go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on social media on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook to get the latest headlines as well. If you would like to support the independent media, please do consider a subscription to MalaysiaKini.com. When you're heading out, don't forget your mask, and when you can, please try to stay home. I'm Daniel Anthony, thank you for watching, and as always, stay safe Malaysia.